I'm Lisa, and I will be going through the webinar with you today where we will be discussing disability employment services. So first up, I would like to do an acknowledgement of country. Oh, what's going on here? Sorry, it's just jumped ahead of me. So, acknowledgement of country. 30-foot drop acknowledges the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognises their continuing connection to land, waters and the community. We pay our respects to the Indigenous people, their cultures and beliefs, to both the elders past and present. 30-foot drop funding. 30-foot drop would like to acknowledge the Department of Communities, Disability Services for funding this and many other initiatives. Without their help, so many projects such as the Two Wise Monkeys project wouldn't have seen the light of day, and we'd be much more poorer for it as a community. So we thank them very much. This workshop is part of a Realities and Advantages of an Access and Inclusion grant awarded to 30-foot drop as part of a Information, Linkages and Capacity Building grant for 2018 and 2019. Housekeeping. Unfortunately, we do not have all the resources to monitor every single platform live. So what that means is if you're watching from YouTube or Facebook, you won't be able to send a direct message to me. But if you do have a message, please follow the link below this video, which is www.30footdrop.com.au/live if you would like to send a message. That takes you to our website where you can hit the live button and you will be able to send a direct message. We'll be covering a lot of information in a short period of time, so we ask attendees to try and minimize any distractions because there's quite a lot that you will need to take in. Grab yourself a pen and paper and write things down. But if you do find that you miss any of it, it's all recorded, so you can go back on it later and rewind it and rewatch if you've missed any of it. Please make sure that if you talk about 30-foot drop, to tag us in any information that you share, because the more information that gets out there, the better we will be as a community and the more educated we are all going to be. And if you know anyone that may benefit from these webinars, please let them know. This is the last week that we will be doing the live webinars, so please get them to jump on and educate themselves about disability and impairment within the workplace. Everything that is spoken about on our webinars, the research, the stats, everything like that is all available also on our website, and there's lots more details and links to do with what we talk about. So there's lots more information on there for you to look at. At the end of the webinar, we do have a short survey that we would be really grateful to you guys if you could fill that out. That's a matter of following the link below the video and filling out the form. So press tapping in part 2 and you'll be able to fill out the survey. So that is the housekeeping. Next, I will introduce myself and the other monkey. So the other monkey is See No Evil, and that's Ben, my boss. He's the brains behind these webinars and 30-foot drop. When he was 22, he had an accident which landed him in a wheelchair. And so he's seen both sides of the coin, I guess you could say. He's been able-bodied and disabled body, and from being disabled he realised that people just don't know enough. People aren't educated enough around disability and impairment. So that is why we run these workshops, because it's so important that businesses and services know that you have to be accessible, you have to be inclusive, and people with disability and impairment do want to work and they do want to be part of this community. So we're trying to change that and make it more inclusive. So it's really amazing that Ben has done this, and we look forward to all the amazing changes that are going to happen in the future. So I am Hear No Evil. I have a hidden impairment where most of my friends wouldn't even know that I have it. But 30 something years ago, I'll say 30 something, I was born 10 weeks premature. And with premature births, you can have complications along the way or at the start. I didn't have any at the start, luckily. But when I was 8 years old, my family sort of were wondering what was happening because I wasn't kind of grasping school or learning as easily as the other kids. So at 8, I was diagnosed with mild dyslexia. One teacher in primary school, I remember she used to hit me on the head, yell at me in front of my classmates, "Why don't you understand?" Making me feel completely dumb and unworthy. I had another teacher read out all the class's marks. I think it was maths. Read out the class marks and read out my mark, and of course it wasn't very high, so it was completely humiliating. So there's all these little things that made me feel completely dumb and unworthy. But despite those challenges growing up, and those teachers and those people that made me feel that way, I was determined to prove them wrong and succeed in life. And luckily for me, I found my passion was in art and photography. When I was 13, I found that, hey, I actually can draw and paint and all of this. And I got in the 90 percentile for my school certificate, which in New Zealand is your must be your ATAR or something like that. So I got high results in my creative side of learning, which then took me all around the world with an arts diploma. I have a fine art diploma as well, where I learnt to pitch frame, organise exhibitions. I paint as well. I've had my own exhibitions and sold artwork. Marketing, gallery manager, framing manager. I've done everything to do with art and framing I've done for the last 12 years. So don't let anyone bring you down. You'll have a passion and something that you are good at. It's just a matter of finding it and going with it. And that's the path I went with. But I also have a counselling diploma because I like to show my friends and family or anyone that I have empathy and sympathy for what they may be going through, how they may be feeling, all those types of things. So that's where I come into working with Ben. I want to be able to help people. I want to make changes in the community and this world. So that is why I am also here with Ben, to tell you my story and help make this awesome change. Now, when we look at the monkeys, normally there is 3 wise monkeys. We've got see no evil, hear no evil. Where is speak no evil? So, who is the 3rd monkey? You guys can ask yourself that question. Yes, it's you. So, the aim of today's workshop is to turn you into that wise monkey. You'll begin on a journey of realizing, impairment or not, we are all human and deserve to be treated and acknowledged in the same way as everyone else. We all need to feel included, and it's such an important message that we all do feel included. And if you did want to become that wise monkey, we do have t-shirts available, which are behind me, of the Speak No Evil monkey. They're available in black and white from size 5 kid size all the way up to 5XL adult size. So if you wanted to get one of those, they are on our website under our shop. So outline and method of today's workshop, tapping in part 2. So how are we going to get you started on the path of a wise monkey? Well, there's a lot to learn about people with impairment and how to employ these amazing people into your business. First up, we're going to look at disability employment service providers, what they are and how they can help your business. After that, we will go through 5 tips on how you can prepare your business to employ people with a disability or impairment. To finish up, we will do an open forum where you can send in any questions and we can talk about them together. So, how are we going to cover this? What's our teaching method? The answer is fun, open, honest discussion. If we can't be open and honest about how we feel about disability or impairment, about the changes we want to make, then we're not going to be heard and changes won't be heard. So we need to be open and honest about how we feel. You'll notice as well so far that there's very little written content on the slides, and that is so that everyone can interact with the screen and interact with what's being said easily. We don't want too much complex information, and we also don't believe in death by PowerPoint presentations. So it's nice and easy to follow. And if you do have an impairment and you're watching and you're finding it hard to hear, you can jump onto the platform Facebook, go to our 30-foot drop page and find the webinar. It'll be live right now. Turn the sound down and then you'll have subtitles. So that's an amazing thing that Facebook have done. It's only a recent thing, and let's hope that other platforms such as YouTube and other ones start following suit, and we'll all have subtitles on everything for everyone. Okay, so terminology. I'm going to go through a few words that people often get mixed up with and think are the same thing, which in fact they're not. They're all very different and they all have very different meanings. So I'm going to talk about impairment firstly. An impairment is an injury, illness, or congenital condition that causes or is likely to cause a loss or difference of psychological or physiological function. In short, your impairment is your medical diagnosis. So my medical diagnosis, for example, is mild dyslexia. A disability, on the other hand, is the loss or limitation of opportunities to take part in society on an equal level with others due to social and environmental barriers. It is, as the word implies, something that makes you unable to access or participate in something. An example for someone with a learning disability could be that too much wording, complex information, stylized script can make it hard sometimes for people with dyslexia or a learning disability to understand, which then means that they are not getting the right information that they need to use your business or service. Now, this is especially important to know because some people's impairments are hidden. And if it's a hidden impairment and your information is too complicated, doesn't really make sense to some people, then you're potentially losing them as customers and losing money in business. So please take a look at your marketing, your websites and everything else, and make sure that it's easy to understand and not too complicated, because some people can find it overwhelming or difficult to understand. So I hope those two terms make sense to you guys. We will now talk about access versus inclusion. Access. Access refers to the removal or reduction of physical barriers to participate in the activities and functions of a community. At its core, access focuses a lot on the physical world around us and can be easily assessed with a checklist. So if you own a restaurant or a cafe or a business and you're not sure whether your business is accessible, you can jump over to our website, which is the link below, 30-foot drop website, and under our resources we have got an accessibility checklist where you can check if your company or business is accessible to someone with a disability or impairment. Are your door frames wide enough? Are your door handles at a good level? The door to come through isn't too hard or hard to push or hard to get into? All these little things that you need to look at to see whether your business is accessible, because unfortunately there's actually no one going around checking that, so it's up to you as a business to make sure it is. Okay, inclusion is more of a psychological state of being and is a process here by every person, irrespective of their age, disability, gender, religion, or sexual preference, who wishes to can participate fully in all aspects of an activity or service in the same way as every other member in the community. Inclusion is making sure that every single person, no matter their disability, their impairment, where they come from, what they look like, their sexual preference, they are all included into your business and they are all welcome. And you need to make sure that everyone knows that they are included and there's no discrimination about anyone, about any human being. So that is inclusion, one of the most important ones. Now, let's head into today's info. Disability Employment Services. What are they? Disability Employment Services help people with a disability find and keep a job. Providers of disability employment services are called DES providers for short. Through DES providers, people with a disability, injury, or health condition may be able to receive assistance to prepare for, find, and keep a job. How awesome is this, and who here listening had no idea about the disability providers? I'm hoping there's a few of you and that you will go and contact them. after you've watched this webinar today. DES providers are a mix of large, medium and small, for-profit and non-for-profit organisations that are experienced in supporting people with disability, as well as aiding employers to put in place practices that support an employee in the workplace. If you are having trouble finding work, please contact your local DES provider or have a look on our website for more information. This information is under our resources part on our website. DES providers and how are they funded? DES providers are funded by the government. Providers receive payments for helping participants find and maintain work. Payments are structured so that providers earn more funding when they place more people into lasting employment. This acts as a really positive incentive to make sure that the best possible matches are made for the employee and the employer. Job matching. So, their services and job matching. This is all the three things that the DES provider will help you, the employer and the employee with. Okay, job matching. How do DES providers make sure that they find the right match? It's all about understanding both parties. The provider is the link between the two. They work with the employee by exploring their qualities and capabilities. Also helping them to get the candidates job ready through work experience, training and volunteering, making sure the candidate is as job ready as they possibly can be. The DES provider will help the employee and the employer understand the new employer's business needs, describe and discuss business dynamics, and create a suitable role. Once the employer and the employee fully understand both sides, they match them with a job that meets both the parties' needs. Now, that is awesome. Where do the clients come from? DES candidates are not forced into employment, which is good to know. So in saying this, you haven't got someone that is there and they don't want to be there. They are already actively looking for a job through the local DES provider and they're really willing and wanting that job. So the people come to DES providers in a number of ways, and here is a few here. Through word of mouth, through self-referral following a discussion with a team member, family or friend, referral through self-referral, exposure to advertising and social media platforms, referral from a healthcare professional, community agency or school, referral from Centrelink or another government agency, community talks, community help desks and pop-up shops, discussions with health and community agencies and schools, employment forums and expos, and of course today our webinars. So there are many, many ways that people can come to a DES provider. Okay, now the DES provider also goes through role creation and job covering. Now what is this? It's all about improving a business's efficiency, finding tasks that can be done by people less qualified and cheaper, allowing the more qualified to continue being productive. Role creation and job covering. Now I'm going to read to you an example of what this is. There are 4 mechanics employed at a workshop. They spend the last 30 minutes of each day cleaning up the workshop. During this time, they are not creating profit and costing a total of 2 hours' wages. Employing someone to come in for 2 hours a day at the lower rate will allow the mechanics to continue generating profit for the business. How amazing would it feel as a business owner to employ someone that really, really wants that job? And how beneficial would it be to know that you as a business owner have saved time and money by employing this person, and your other workers are able to carry on with their work until the end of the day. So it's all about creating that role creation. And I noticed the other day, which was really awesome to see and really inclusive of this business, there was a business and there was a guy working there who used a mobility scooter. So that was a really, really good example of a business being inclusive and getting someone in there that has a disability or impairment who is more than happy to be there working and doing their job. So let's look at the support that the Disability Employment Services can provide. As well as job matching and role creations, DES providers also offer the following 2 free services. These are candidate support and application assistance. So you're not on your own. DES providers support their candidates in their role by regular on and off site visits, where they ensure the candidate continues understanding the employer's expectations and needs. They also look for any requirements for assistive technology for both parties, monitor developing requirements to maintain performance, deal with any questions or issues swiftly, and most DES providers will be contactable outside of the office hours. So you as an employee or an employer are not going to be left in the dark. You can contact your DES provider mentor, who is going to be contactable at any time for you to discuss anything as an employee or an employer. If you have some issue come up with your employee, then maybe contact the DES provider mentor first and then figure out the best way to approach it. So they're always there to offer support. And they also offer application support. DES providers will provide free assistance with the following applications: wage subsidies, workplace modifications via job access, which is covered in Tapping In Part 1, which was yesterday. But if you've missed that, please jump on and watch yesterday morning's one, because last night's one didn't go very well for me. So watch yesterday morning's one, the 11 a.m. Part 1, and you'll be able to see that. Okay, so, and they also... I've already talked about that. So how to get started. Get in touch with your local DES provider in your local town or region. Provide them with the required information and employ a match candidate. The DES provider will gather the required evidence for starting and organising an employee. Fill out the paperwork and any other requirements in order to proceed with the employment. And how stress-free would it be for both parties to know that you're getting that help and that there's someone there to help you with paperwork and all these things. I know that sometimes a lot of business owners are put off by having to go and do all this work to try and get someone in there and blah, blah, blah. But the DES providers are there to help you. So you potentially don't have to do anything. It's just a matter of saying yes or no to a particular candidate and choosing the right one for you. So, now that you've employed that amazing new employee, let's prepare your business. So now that you've committed to employing someone, here are 5 tips to get you started and ensure your new employee reaches their full potential. Candidate selection. As with all hiring, it's important to get the right match. A person's disability may be quite irrelevant to the kind of work required, which means people with a disability are employed all across the board. Using a DES provider will give you access to a far wider talent pool along with objective and relevant advice when making your decision. Disability awareness training. Many people are apprehensive about dealing with a new team member that is living with a disability or impairment. Conducting targeted training for your staff can address these questions and help people be more confident with working with their new colleague. This promotes positive attitudes and teamwork and ensures everyone is treated equally and fairly. Funding is also available for training through job access. So there's lots of help out there. You're not left on your own. There's funding available to create awareness within your business so that other employers can understand the person with disability or impairment a bit better. And there's so many available. You can do mental health awareness training, you can go disability awareness training, you can do Auslan workshops where your team can be trained in Auslan if they have someone within the business that is deaf. There's so much available, and we do discuss it in the Tapping In Part 1 if you did want to go back on it, or have a look in our resources part on our website. Now, accessibility. Preparing the workplace so that it is accessible will allow the employee to do their job and will help with a smooth onboarding process, making sure the person with the disability is involved because they know how best it's going to work for them. Their needs will vary depend on the employee's disability or health condition. Funding is available for all these modifications, which we did cover in Tapping In Part 1. Other considerations may include rosters, work times, and practices, because sometimes it's harder for someone with a disability or impairment to be at work at 7 a.m. So it's a matter of meeting in the middle and making it work for both parties. Sorry, I've just realised I'm sort of moved off to the side a bit there. So making it work for both parties. So if your employee can't come into work at 7 a.m., then think about saying, oh, how about you come in at 9 and you can just do an extra hour a day at the end of the day, or they can make it up some other time in the week. So it's just about being flexible and open-minded to being a little bit different and to make it work. So induction and mentoring. Your new employee should receive an induction, relevant workplace training, and ongoing support through a designated buddy or mentor, especially in the early stages of their employment. Think about any reasonable adjustments beforehand that may be necessary to make the induction and intake process as mutually rewarding as possible. So that's just like starting any job, really. You're always going to have that buddy or that person that's there with you for the first couple of weeks to show you the ropes and show you how things are run within that business or service, because everywhere is different. We all need that buddy at the beginning. So someone with a disability or impairment, of course, is no different. Number 5, post-placement consultant. If your new employee is connected with a DES provider, then they will have a consultant allocated to provide post-placement support completely free of charge. In addition to supporting the employee, the consultant is also intended as a go-to person if you have any questions or concerns. Use this consultant as a free resource to you and your team to ensure things run as smoothly as possible in the first few months of the role. The DES providers want to make it work and to make sure the placement is as successful as possible. So that person is always going to be there no matter how long the employee is with you. It's all about talking and making it work together. There's so much available to you as a business owner, and I really hope that after today you're more positive about hopefully employing someone with a disability or impairment. There's so much funding, there's so much help, there's so much support out there so that you can do it. And it's a matter of looking at creating a role or getting them to do something that someone else doesn't really need to do. You could very easily get someone with a disability or impairment to do, and they would love it. They'd love to be given that opportunity. So that is Tapping In Part 2 for today. I hope that you have enjoyed it. I will be back tonight at 6 p.m. to run the next one. So if you know anyone that may benefit from today's workshop, please send them along. And I hope that you enjoyed it. I'm going to ask now if anyone has any questions to please jump onto the webinar below and send me anything you like. Nothing's off limits. Send a question in and I will do my best to answer it. If I can't, I will pass it on to Ben. But please, if you have to go, please fill out the survey before you go. Jump on the link below, find Tapping In Part 2 survey and fill it out. I will see the rest of you guys soon with any questions. But those that have to go, I will see you later. Right, questions. See you soon. Welcome back, guys. There doesn't appear to be any questions today, which is fine. Please, if you know anyone that will benefit from this webinar, send them over tonight where I will be doing this again. And if you are interested in doing part 3 tomorrow, please join me same time tomorrow. It's your last chance to see these live. And I will be here tomorrow to discuss we're going to go over some graphs and stats and stuff tomorrow. So join me for that, and I look forward to it. Have a good day, everyone. Bye.